Anika, we just got out of the Chime keynote where Dr. Vivek Murthy talked with us about some of the things that he's seen acting as previous Surgeon General. And he talked a lot about the impacts of loneliness and how that is being attributed to much of the health challenges that we're facing today. Can you share with us your thoughts on that?
I think that's really interesting. People don't really think about the impact of closeness and what that can have on you when you think about peer pressure. And I live for my family, I live for my grandparents, I live for my children, and the impact that that can have on like your habits, right? I always joke that my grandmother was like the weight gain-o-meter of our family, right? You go away for a while, you come back to see it, your grandma always points out, put on some weight. But if you don't have that connection, if they're not seeing you on a regular basis, it's really interesting, right? You don't have people in your life to sort of give you that pause. I think it's a really interesting concept.
It was interesting too, he talked about how even though we're as connected as we've ever been as a population, there needs to be a better balance between offline connection and online connection, and that if those technologies aren't used in a healthy way, sometimes those technologies can actually be causing this loneliness problem that
well, it's interesting, right? So if you think about like what type of connection you can really build through like social media, those are all really surface. They're not like the connection you can build with your neighbor necessarily, or the connection you build with your family, where you don't go to somebody on social media most of the time and be like, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Or I have an emergency, or can you watch my house or get my mail when I go out of town? And those are the connections that you think about that you really want in your personal life. You don't necessarily want those to be over the internet, so to speak, right? But then you think about the ability to have connection with your family member who moves away, and you want to retain some type of closeness with them. I think those are really healthy, or the professional ones, or some of the other ones, but you don't necessarily want to lose those sort of everyday life connections because you have connections in social media. And I do think that there's a certain point where in society, I think we're trading some of that, and it's probably not for our benefit, right, holistically.